They laughed when humanity first arrived. Across the stars, hundreds of alien races gathered in the shining halls of the Galactic Union. They looked at the small blue planet's new visitors, the humans, and they laughed. The humans looked weak. No claws, no hard skin, no natural armor. Their muscles were small, their weapons simple, and their ships looked like toys compared to the great fleets of other species. To the galaxy, humans were nothing but a joke. They are soft animals, one alien said. They can't even breathe in toxic air, another added. They will not survive a single cycle. And so the joke began. The joke that would one day change everything, far away. In a laboratory orbiting a red moon, an alien scientist named Karath watched the new species with quiet interest. While others mocked, Karath observed, he saw something strange in the humans, something that didn't fit in any known behavior pattern. They laughed. They laughed in meetings, in training, in fights. Even when they were hurt, they smiled. When they failed, they joked. When they lost, they still found a way to laugh again. To Karath, this was madness. To humans, it was normal. He wrote in his report, "Subject species human, emotion control levels unstable. Laughter reaction, unpredictable and excessive. Possible sign of mental disorder." But then he saw something that made him pause. During a small border conflict between humans and space pirates, Karath watched the battle feed. The humans were outnumbered 5-1. Their ships were burning. Their escape seemed impossible. And yet through the radio he heard something he never expected. Laughter. The human captain, bleeding from a head wound, was laughing over the comms. His crew laughed too. "Guess this is it, boys," the captain shouted. "Let's make it loud so they never forget." They laughed, then launched their final missiles. A bright explosion lit the void. The pirates were destroyed. The humans were gone too. Karath stared at the screen for a long time. His claws trembled. Why would they laugh before death? What was this strange emotion that made them fearless at the end? A week later, he met with other alien scientists. They continued to mock the humans. They use noise to hide their fear, one said. They are primitive, another added. It's only a defense reaction, but Karath wasn't convinced. He showed them the data, the chemical changes inside human brains during laughter, a rise in endorphins, reduction in fear, stronger decision-making. Their body temperature stabilized. Their focus improved. Laughter, it seemed, gave them strength. The others ignored him. Ridiculous, they said. Laughter cannot win wars. But Karath couldn't stop thinking about it. He began studying humans more closely. He watched soldiers training, doctors in crisis zones, and miners working in deadly conditions. In every case, the pattern was the same. When fear was high, someone would make a joke. They would laugh, and suddenly, everyone worked better. Even in chaos, their laughter spread like fire. It didn't just calm them, it united them. Karath wrote again in his private notes, "Their laughter is not weakness. It is connection. It is energy." He started calling it the laughter effect. Then came the incident on Colony 9. An explosion ripped through the colony's main reactor. Thousands of humans trapped underground. Rescue ships couldn't reach them. For 3 days, the broadcast showed panic, smoke, and silence. Everyone thought the colony was lost until the emergency frequency came alive. It wasn't a distress call. It was a sound recording and of people laughing. They were trapped, yet they told jokes to each other. They sang old songs. They laughed about how, "At least we don't have to go to work tomorrow." That laughter echoed through the galaxy. Even alien networks replayed it. They didn't understand. Some thought it was faked. Some said humans had gone insane. But others began to wonder. Maybe laughter wasn't madness. Maybe it was something powerful. Karath sent a private message to the Galactic Science Council. "If this behavior can be understood," he wrote, "it could become the strongest form of emotional defense known. They laugh not to escape fear. They laugh to destroy it." The council laughed at him too. They rejected his idea, calling it nonsense psychology. But Karath didn't stop. He began collecting more data, secretly studying every battle report that mentioned laughter or humor. The more he looked, the clearer it became. Humanity's strangest habit was not a flaw. It was a survival code. And deep inside, Karath felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Because if the humans ever learned what their laughter could truly do, The galaxy would never be the same. As the sun of Earth rose over the blue horizon, millions of humans went on with their lives, joking, smiling, teasing, and laughing. They didn't know that far above them. The rest of the galaxy still laughed too, but for a different reason. To them, humanity was still a joke, but soon they would learn the truth. What they laughed at would become their greatest nightmare. Karath could not sleep. Every night, he replayed the same recording, the laughter of the trapped humans from Colony 9. The sound echoed in his mind, strange and powerful. It was not madness. It was something deeper, something he could not explain. He decided to find out. In secret, Karath began his own study. The Galactic Council had ignored him, but he had access to data, military records, medical scans, combat footage. He started to look for one thing, the moment when humans laughed in the face of fear. And the more he found, the more impossible it seemed. In one battle, a squad of human Marines was surrounded on a frozen moon. The temperature was -70 degrees. The enemy outnumbered them 10-1. Yet the humans made jokes over their radios. "At least it's not Monday," one soldier said. "Ha! I told you we should have brought sunscreen," another replied. Their laughter spread through the comms. And then something strange happened. Their heart rate stabilized. Their reaction times improved, and they kept fighting for hours. When rescue arrived, every Marine was still alive. Karath collected all the recordings. He ran tests, scanned their brain patterns, and measured their chemical reactions. He discovered that when humans laughed under stress, their brains released a wave of chemicals, dopamine, endorphins and adrenaline all at once. Fear disappeared. Pain faded. Focus increased. He called it the laughter response. In a report to his private logs, he wrote, "Their laughter changes them. It turns fear into power, despair into energy. It spreads between them like a living force." One day, an officer from the galactic military found out about Karath's secret study. Instead of stopping him, the officer offered him a deal. "If laughter makes humans stronger," he said, "then let us see how strong they can become," and thus began Experiment 47. The experiment took place on a barren asteroid base far from any main colony. The first group, 20 human volunteers, were brought in. They were told it was a test of emotional endurance, but the real purpose was hidden. Karath wanted to see if laughter could be controlled. He placed them under extreme stress, isolation chambers, fear simulations, hunger tests. Most species would have broken down within hours. The humans, they started telling jokes. One soldier carved a smiley face on the wall. Another began imitating the voice of his angry commander. Soon the whole group was laughing so loudly that even the alien guards outside joined in. Karath was stunned. Even without joy, they created it. He noted in his log, "They do not wait for hope. They make it. They can generate strength from nothing but shared sound and emotion." Weeks passed. Karath increased the stress levels. Simulated combat, explosions, cold, hunger, darkness. Each time the humans adapted faster than before. They laughed more, fought harder, survived longer. At first, Karath thought it was just morale. But then he saw something he could not explain. Their physical strength slightly increased, their coordination improved, and their fear response almost vanished. It was as if laughter was training their minds to override fear itself. One night, an alien guard named Siren, who had been watching the humans for weeks, entered Karath's lab. "Sir," Siren said softly, I think it's spreading." Karath turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "The guards," Siren whispered. "We laugh now too. We don't know why. When they laugh, it's like we have to laugh with them. And it feels good. Too good." Karath stared at him in silence. A chill ran down his spine. If the effect could spread to other species, he checked the data again. Neural resonance patterns were appearing in nearby observers. Even aliens who didn't understand human humor felt calmer and more confident around them. This was no longer just an emotion. It was a signal. The galactic military heard about Karath's results. They wanted to weaponize it. "Imagine," they said, "soldiers who feel no fear, armies that laugh in the face of death. The enemy would break before firing a single shot." Karath disagreed. "You cannot control this," he warned. "Laughter is not a weapon. It is alive. Once it spreads, no one will stop it." But they didn't listen. They took his data and ordered new tests, battlefield trials. Karath could only watch. A month later, the first laughing unit of human soldiers went to war. During the invasion of the mining world Zoros 9, the enemy expected them to fall within hours. Instead, the human troops charged while singing, shouting, and laughing. Their courage infected their allies. Even alien mercenaries fighting beside them started to grin. The enemy lines collapsed. They couldn't understand how soldiers facing death could still smile. The report shocked the galaxy. Karath's experiment had escaped his control. In his final log entry for that cycle, he wrote, "They are not afraid of death. They laugh at it. Their laughter is not sound, it is defiance. It is the song of survival itself." He looked out the window of his lab, watching the stars. For the first time, Karath felt something he had never felt before: admiration. And maybe deep down envy, because he knew now the same laughter that once made the galaxy mock them would soon make it tremble. The galaxy laughed at humans once. But that laughter had stopped now, because the war had begun. It started quietly, a border conflict in the far colonies. A mining planet, Aurelia 5, claimed by both humans and the Draenex Empire. No one expected much from it. Humans had only small defense fleets. The Draenex had thousands of warships. The galaxy watched the news and smiled. "The humans will surrender in a week," they said. "They will run when the first bombs fall." They didn't know what was coming. When the Draenex fleet entered the human system, their ships spread across the black sky like metal storms. On the human side, only 7 small destroyers stood ready. Old ships, slow, underpowered, yet their comms were alive with laughter. "Guess we're outnumbered again," one pilot joked. "Yeah," another answered. "Hope they brought enough ammo." The Draenex commander heard the human transmission and felt insulted. "These creatures mock us," he growled. "End them." But when the battle began, something strange happened. The humans fought like no one had ever seen before. They didn't retreat, they didn't hide, they charged. Their small ships darted between the massive enemy cruisers, flying so close that the Draenex cannons couldn't lock on. And through it all, they laughed. Every transmission, every channel, laughter, music, jokes, shouts of joy. It was chaos. But it worked. For the first time in galactic history, the Draenex fleet retreated from an inferior enemy. The report went viral across the network. Every species watched the battle recordings. The humans' laughter echoed through every screen. Some thought it was madness. Some thought it was genius. But the truth was more terrifying. It was contagious. On nearby worlds, allied alien soldiers who fought beside humans started changing too. They laughed in battle. They felt fearless. They fought longer, harder, stronger. The effect was spreading faster than anyone expected. Scientists across the galaxy tried to explain it. Some said it was psychological. Others believed it was a new kind of energy field. But only one name appeared in every report: Karath, the alien scientist who had started Experiment 47. Karath was now being hunted by the galactic military. They feared what he had discovered. Yet deep inside, Karath knew it was already too late. "They can't stop it now," he whispered. "The laughter has left the lab. It's out there, in every battle, in every soldier. As the war spread, more human colonies were attacked. Entire cities were burned. But instead of breaking, humanity united. From every world came the same voice, calm, steady, and smiling. Don't cry. Don't fear. Keep laughing." Broadcasts from Earth showed children painting smiley faces on ruined walls. Pilots played old Earth songs through their radios during dogfights. Soldiers carried small devices that replayed jokes and laughter before every attack. The enemy tried to jam the signals, but it didn't matter. The humans had already learned how to carry it in their hearts. They called it the Spirit Protocol. The Draenex Empire grew desperate. They began using fear weapons, sonic emitters designed to cause panic, despair, and confusion. But when they tested it on human troops, the soldiers laughed louder. The machines failed. In one broadcast, a Draenex general screamed in rage as the humans marched through the smoke, laughing, singing, and fighting as if the battlefield itself was a festival. The video spread across the stars. The galaxy that once mocked them now watched in silence. Karath hid inside a research station near the outer rim. He spent his nights listening to recordings of human battles, watching how the sound of laughter changed everything. He could see it. The rhythm, the pattern, the invisible wave of courage moving through every soldier. He finally understood. "This is not just emotion," he wrote. "This is evolution. They have turned their weakness into a weapon." Months later, the war reached the core worlds. The Draenei's launched a final attack, a fleet of 5,000 ships. Humanity had less than 1/10 of that number. Every planet expected Earth to fall. But when the Draenei's entered the Sol system, they heard something unexpected across the comms. Human soldiers broadcasting open laughter. Millions of voices together. It wasn't fear. It was a message. "Come and get us." The Draenei's fired first. The sky lit with plasma and debris. Earth's orbit became fire, but the humans didn't stop. They fought ship by ship, turning even destroyed vessels into floating bombs. Their fleets burned, yet they smiled till the end. When the battle ended, the Draenei's flagship was gone, destroyed, by a single human cruiser that rammed it at full speed while broadcasting a song about victory and beer. The galaxy watched in shock. The humans had survived. Again, after the war, rumors spread. Some said human laughter had physical power now, that it affected sensors, energy fields, even telepathic species. Others said it wasn't magic, just madness turned into courage. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity was no longer a joke. They had become something the galaxy had never seen, a species that fought not with fear, but with joy. And somewhere hidden in the dark, Karath smiled sadly. "They were never the strongest," he said softly. "They were simply the ones who refused to fear, the ones who learned to laugh when all others cried." He looked out at the stars where fleets still burned like embers in the void. "The war they started in laughter," he whispered, "has only just begun." The war changed everything, but not in the way anyone expected. The galaxy thought humanity would be destroyed. Instead, humanity had changed the galaxy. It began slowly, and whispers and rumors. Reports of alien soldiers laughing in battle. Videos of mixed human-alien units shouting human jokes before charging into fire. At first, no one understood it. Then they gave it a name, the contagion of courage. It was not a disease, but it spread like one. Everywhere humans went, it followed. A strange energy, invisible but powerful. The Arvel soldiers, known for their cold logic, started painting smile symbols on their armor after fighting beside human troops. The Vexorians, a race that had never once smiled in history, began to show teeth, clumsy, confused, but smiling. Even species that had no concept of humor began to feel it. Karath watched it all from his hidden lab. His experiment, once secret, had become something far beyond his control. He reviewed battle reports and data feeds. He saw soldiers surviving wounds that should have killed them, ships holding formation, even after losing half their crew, civilians rebuilding destroyed colonies while singing. He whispered to himself, "They should be broken. They should be afraid." And yet they laugh. The laughter was spreading faster than any weapon, faster than fear itself. It had become a field of emotion, an invisible wave of courage that grew stronger the more it was shared. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Panic filled the chamber. "They are infecting our armies with emotion," one delegate shouted. "This human behavior is dangerous," cried another. "If it continues, no one will obey orders." For centuries, the galaxy had been ruled by discipline, hierarchy, and fear. But now laughter was tearing those walls down. Even during the meeting, the guards outside were whispering human jokes to each other. Karath was called to speak before the council. The Supreme Speaker glared at him. "You started this," she said. "You brought this madness into our world. Tell us how to stop it." Karath bowed his head. "You cannot stop it," he said softly. "You can only join it." The chamber went silent. "Laughter is not madness," he continued. "It is connection. The humans have found a way to make courage contagious. The more they laugh, the less they fear. And those who fight beside them feel it too." The speaker slammed her fist. "You speak as if it is some kind of power." Karath looked up. His eyes glowed with quiet awe. "It is power. The oldest kind. Hope." Meanwhile, across the front lines, the effect grew stronger. Entire fleets began carrying human entertainment signals into battle, music, comedy shows, recordings of laughter. Some commanders thought it was foolish. Others saw their troops' morale rise instantly. Alien medics began using laughter as therapy for wounded soldiers. Machines that once played war chants now played human jokes. And for the first time in galactic history, soldiers of different species laughed together, but not everyone was happy. The Dranex Empire, still wounded from their defeats, called the phenomenon a mental weapon. They claimed humans had created a psychological virus that rewired the brain. They began testing countermeasures, silence fields, fear generators, neural blockers, but none of them worked. The more they tried to suppress laughter, the more powerful it became. One Dranex officer reported that when they jammed human frequencies, their own troops became nervous and depressed. When they reactivated the channels, morale instantly returned. It was unstoppable. Karath received a secret message from a Dranex scientist, one who had once mocked him years ago. "You were right," the message said. "The humans have turned emotion into energy. We can feel it in the air. Even our war machines respond differently when their laughter is near. What have they done to us?" Karath replied simply, "They reminded us what it means to be alive." As months passed, something new began to happen. Sensors picked up strange readings around large human fleets. Tiny energy waves synchronized with laughter patterns. They weren't harmful, but they interfered with enemy targeting systems. Human scientists called it resonant courage. It was as if the very sound of laughter changed reality around them. Karath analyzed the data carefully. It wasn't magic. It wasn't psychic. It was emotion carried by voice, by sound, by connection. Every soldier's heartbeat and breath joined together, turning fear into unity. It was evolution in motion. Soon, entire worlds began to follow the human way. Children in alien schools learned human humor. Factories played laughter tracks during work shifts. Even the most serious politicians began speeches with jokes. The galaxy was transforming. Some called it hope. Some called it chaos. Karath called it beautiful. But deep in the shadows, the Dranex were planning revenge. They couldn't fight laughter with fear anymore. So they began to build something new, a weapon that could erase emotion completely. A machine designed to silence all feeling across a planet. They called it the Null Engine. Karath heard the rumors and felt a cold dread. "They are trying to kill what makes us feel alive," he whispered. "They don't understand. If they silence laughter, they will silence life itself." He looked out at the stars, where human ships still glowed with light and music, carrying their laughter from one world to another, and he knew the next battle would decide everything. Would the galaxy fall back into silence? Or would humanity's laughter echo forever? The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Humanity was no longer fighting with ordinary weapons. They were fighting with laughter. After months of observation and experimentation, human scientists had discovered how to amplify the laughter effect. Small devices called resonators were installed on ships, drones, and even worn by soldiers. These machines carried laughter across battlefields, magnifying it to an almost physical force. The humans called the plan Operation Smilestorm. The first target was Thalor 7, a planet under Dranex control. Its defenses were strong. Energy shields, automated cannons, and legions of soldiers loyal to the Empire. The Dranex expected the humans to send a small fleet. They didn't anticipate the laughter. When the human ships entered orbit, they activated their resonators. The battlefield filled with sound. Not just any sound, but laughter, jokes, music, even old human comedy shows, broadcast across every channel. The effect was immediate. Enemy soldiers stopped firing. Weapons misfired. Drones floated helplessly, unable to target anyone. Even the most disciplined officers began to chuckle, then laugh, then scream in disbelief as their systems failed. On the ground, human troops marched forward, smiling. "Careful, it's slippery," one shouted while tossing a grenade. "Nothing slippery here but your fear," another yelled as she ducked an energy blast. The Dranex couldn't understand it. Fearless, unstoppable, united by something intangible. Laughter. Human medics played recordings of jokes near wounded soldiers. Their morale instantly surged. Civilians joined in, singing and cheering as their protectors advanced. Karath monitored the operation from his hidden lab. He felt a mix of awe and fear. "They are not just fighting," he whispered. "They are rewriting what war means." Every time a human laughed, the effect spread. even reaching Draenei soldiers who were miles away. Some dropped their weapons mid-battle, clutching their sides, unable to resist the contagious energy. "It's like they are everywhere," one Draenei commander shouted over the comms. How can sound become a weapon? It wasn't just sound. It was courage made visible, fear made useless, hope made unstoppable. The turning point came when the human flagship in a battered, small vessel called the Bright Hope entered the Draenei's orbital fortress. The fortress's shields, designed to withstand any missile, began to fail. Resonators on the ship broadcast thousands of human jokes and laughter, amplified across the enemy systems. The shields flickered. Cannons misfired. Panic spread like wildfire. Aboard the Bright Hope, the captain grinned. "They laughed at us once," she said to her crew. "Now they will see why they shouldn't have." The humans launched boarding pods. Soldiers stormed through corridors, still laughing, singing, and joking as they dismantled defenses. The fortress fell in hours, not with death alone, but with joy. Across the galaxy, the news spread like lightning. Humanity had created a new kind of weapon, one the galaxy had never imagined. It was invisible, unstoppable, and deeply human. Even Karath's private logs reflected his amazement. They laughed at fear. They laughed at pain. And in that laughter they made themselves untouchable. The Draenei's empire reeled from the attack. They could not counter it. Their fear-based armies crumbled under something they could not comprehend. The simple, unstoppable power of human courage amplified by laughter. On one battlefront, a young human soldier carried a small resonator on her back. She had lost her squad the day before, yet she laughed as she advanced into enemy fire. "You think losing can stop us?" she shouted. "Try laughing with us." Enemy soldiers froze. Then some began to laugh themselves. Soon they were deserting their posts, smiling and cheering alongside the humans. It was contagious. It was terrifying. And it was unstoppable. By the end of Operation Smilestorm, entire planets surrendered without a fight. They did not yield to death. They yielded to laughter, because fighting against it was impossible. The galaxy had learned a shocking truth. Humanity had transformed its simplest, most natural behavior into the ultimate weapon. Karath sat alone, staring at the reports and transmissions. "It was a joke once," he whispered. The galaxy laughed at them, and now, what they laughed at has become their ultimate weapon. He shook his head, a small reluctant smile forming, because deep down, he knew one undeniable fact. The humans were unstoppable, and the universe would never be the same again. The galaxy had changed forever. No empire could stand against it. No weapon could silence it. Humanity's laughter had become unstoppable. Years after Operation Smilestorm, the war was over. The Draenei's empire had surrendered. Other alien nations, once mocking humans, now respected them, and in some cases feared them. The humans had not only survived, they had reshaped the galaxy. Yet, amidst all the celebrations, one alien watched from the shadows, Karath, the scientist who had first studied them. He had seen it all, the laughter that spread faster than fleets, the courage that outshone fear, the weapon no one could control. And he knew that humanity's true power had only just begun. Across the stars, human colonies thrived. Cities that had been burned to the ground now hummed with life. Children laughed in streets once covered with debris. Soldiers returned home, still joking, still singing. Even alien allies had joined in. Laughter was no longer just a human trait. It had become a universal language. On one planet, a council of leaders gathered. They discussed peace, trade, and alliances. But they also shared jokes, stories, and laughter. No one argued. No one feared. The galaxy had learned to smile. But Karath's mind wandered to a question that no one else seemed to ask. What if this is only the beginning? Because laughter was no ordinary weapon. It could not be stopped. It could not be contained. The humans had discovered a power that was not in weapons or shields. It was in their hearts, their minds, their connections, and the galaxy had only begun to understand it. Meanwhile, on Earth, a young captain looked up at the stars. Her fleet had been rebuilt. Stronger and faster than ever, she grinned at her crew, who were cleaning their weapons while humming old Earth songs. "Remember," she said, "they laughed at us once. Now, it's our turn to laugh." And they did. The laughter echoed across the void. It was fearless, joyous, unstoppable. Ships thousands of miles away transmitted their own echoes. Planets joined in. Even the farthest outposts, forgotten corners of space, carried the sound of humanity. It was no longer a simple act. It was a force of nature. Karath watched the transmission feed silent. They were mocked, ridiculed, and feared weak, he murmured. And yet, they became the strongest force in the galaxy, not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because they refused to fear. They refused to surrender. They laughed. He remembered the words he had written in his first secret report years ago. What they laughed at will become their ultimate weapon. Now he understood. For a moment the galaxy was still. Then slowly a chorus of laughter began to spread. Across fleets, colonies, and worlds, it grew louder and louder, until the void of space itself seemed to tremble. Even alien soldiers who had once mocked humanity now laughed alongside them. They did not know why. They only knew that it felt right, that it made them brave, that it made them alive.